Welcome to the Self-Reliant Living Show, where we talk all about a self-reliant lifestyle to save money, live greener, eat healthier, and be prepared for anything so you can take care of the ones you love in good times and bad. I'm your host, Jennifer Osech, a homeschooling mom of 3 boys. I'm the author of the Preparedness Planner series, and my husband and I are the lead teachers of Self-Reliant School, a website dedicated to giving you the skills and confidence to take care of yourself and your community. Be sure to stop by and pick up your free videos from inside Self-Reliant School that will get you started growing, cooking, and preserving your own food today. You can pick these up at selfreliantschool.com/free. Now, on with the show. Hello, and come on in. How are you doing this week? Just come on in and let me know what the weather is like in your area, and also let me know what you're drinking. Today I have coffee. I've already gone through the green tea. I'm on to the coffee now. Come on in and let me see that you're here. Go ahead and comment. Hi, Misty. Hi, Rhonda. Okay, and today we are on Instagram as well. So I have got my phone here, and I am monitoring comments here on Instagram too. So I've got Facebook, Instagram, I've got my notes over here. We're not on Periscope this week. We are working on a way to be on Facebook and Periscope and Instagram all at the same time. Today we're doing a test with Instagram, so welcome if you are watching on Instagram. Okay, so like I said before, come on in and let me know where you're from. You could tell me the state that you're from. Let me know the weather there. And then also let me know what you're drinking. I've got my coffee here. So Rhonda says it's sunny in Georgia. Peggy says hello to you. She's in Minnesota, and it's a cold day there. It's supposed to get really cold here over the weekend, so not looking forward to that. I don't love the super duper cold. I like it just maybe 60 degrees. I wish it could be that way all of the time. So welcome to you guys, and I am looking again on Instagram. Okay, so today I have a great show because we are going to make a fruitcake, and we are also going to make some vanilla extract in the Instant Pot. I'm going to do both of them in the Instant Pot. So while you guys are still coming in, hello Stuart, let me just go over a few housekeeping things, right? So welcome to the Self-Reliant Living Show. There are a couple ways to watch. We just went over some of those, Facebook and then Periscope, not today, but usually, and then we're trying Instagram for the very first time. Then also you can go to selfreliantlife.tv to catch the replay. And if you are watching on the replay, welcome to you. Okay, and then you can also download this as a podcast on iTunes. So if you are one of those people who likes to listen on the go, like in your earbuds, then you can definitely go to iTunes and subscribe there, and then you can download this as a podcast. Now, we are a live show, so sometimes things happen with technology here and there. We're trying to make it all work together, but sometimes we'll drop off one platform or another, but rest assured that you can watch everything at selfreliantlife.tv. You can watch the replay because it will go up just as if nothing had happened, we hope, right? Definitely. Okay, so if you are on Facebook, I would really appreciate it if you would share this, because that is the way that we get the word out, and like-minded people who might be interested in the Instant Pot or making fruitcake or vanilla extract will get to see this video and decide if they want to watch it. So I would really appreciate that. And I'm kicking I got another table down here with all my other stuff. I'm kicking that. So that's the noise you hear. Okay, so welcome, Leanne. So the benefits of being on all these formats is for your convenience. So I hope that there is one that it's convenient for you, that you are comfortable with, and that you can become a regular viewer of or listener of the Self-Reliant Living Show. For the show notes for this particular episode, because I'm going to have the recipes in the show notes, you can go to selfreliantlife.tv/026. Okay. So if I am showing up in your feed, maybe I'm just showing up on Instagram somewhere and it says live and you're wondering who this person is. My name is Jennifer Osich. I am the author of the Preparedness Planner series. My husband and I are the lead teachers at Self-Reliant School, and we teach classes in gardening, cooking, and food preserving. And then I am the host of the Self-Reliant Living Show. So welcome to you. All right, so we're going to get started here, and I'm going to show you guys how to make a fruit cake in the Instant Pot. And the first thing I want to do is hold up this fruit cake that Bill bought yesterday at the store. I wasn't going to do this, but I thought, you know, this is just, it's very heavy. Ours will be too, but this is just, it's just, I don't know, there's something about it that's yucky. The colors they're just not right. And don't even get me started on the ingredients list. There's high fructose corn syrup and then I think 2 other kinds of corn syrup. And so I don't even want to read the ingredients to you because it's nauseating to me. But the thing is that this is what most people think of when, you know, they hear about fruitcake. And this is not what we're going to make today. We're going to make a whole food fruitcake. So if this is what you're used to and this is what you are disgusted by, don't worry, this is not what we are going to make. So let's get on to making a whole foods fruitcake. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make some candied fruit. Okay, so you can buy it, but be careful because you might get the stuff that's really nasty. You want to, if you are going to buy candied fruit, you're going to want to really research where it's coming from and how it's made. It's much easier, I think, just to make it yourself. So I'm going back to my notes, and like I said, when I look down here, I am looking to see you guys. There's a lot of people that's joined on Instagram. Hello to you. Okay, so first of all, before we even get started on the candied fruit, let me just tell you the difference between a fruit cake and Christmas pudding, because that comes up a lot. So the difference is that fruit cake is an actual cake with flour and butter. And then Christmas pudding is made with suet. So it's a different kind of fat that goes in there, and it's got more of a pudding texture. So what we're making today is fruit cake. So I just want to make that clarification there. Okay, so on to the fruit cake. Now, I have 2 6-quart Instant Pots here, and I am going to have this recipe available for a 6-quart and an 8-quart. So if you have the bigger Instant Pot, I've got the recipe for you as well. It's going to have the same ingredients, but it'll have the proportions for an 8-quart because I made an 8-quart yesterday, and oh, it's so big and it's beautiful. Okay, so like I said, you're going to want to get some candied fruit. Now, if you are a member of Self-Reliant School, you can go to lesson, let me see, 13. And you will have a demonstration, and you will have written materials as to how to do this step by step. It is a super easy process. It does take a little bit of time, but it is, you will be rewarded tenfold. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your candied fruit, and right here I have pineapple, and then I have apples that I candied, and then I have some cherries. Now this one right here, this is just regular raisins, and these I actually bought at the store because I have 3 teenage boys, and one of their very favorite things in all the world are raisins. So I dehydrate grapes all the time, but I cannot keep them unless I hide them somewhere. So I had to substitute because I could not keep them in stock, so to speak. Okay. But I've got all of my other candied fruit that I'm gonna put in here. And like I said, the raisins are not candied. They're just, you know, they're just dried grapes. So, but you could definitely candy some grapes, and that would be just add to it even more. So after you make your candied fruit, or you purchase it, depending on what you want to do, you're gonna take it and you're gonna cut it up And to do that, I'm just using a scissors here, and I've got a little bit of coconut oil, and I'm gonna take some of the coconut oil and I'm just gonna rub it on the scissors here because the candied fruit is very sticky. And so I'm just going to make sure it's really well lubricated here. And then I am going to take some of my fruit and I'm going to start cutting it up. So I'm going to cut up, see my recipe here. Now the one I'm making right now is for a 6-quart. So if you have an 8-quart, I will go ahead and put those or that recipe in the show notes. But right here, these proportions are for a 6-quart. So I don't want to get anyone confused there because it will be smaller if you put this in an 8-quart. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to take 1/4. Now I have my own fruit, right, that I decided to candy, but you can candy any kind of fruit that you want. And so right now I've got 1/4 cup pineapple, 1/4 cup candied apples, candied pineapple as well, and then I've got 1/4 cup candied cherries. Then I've just got the regular raisins, but you could totally put another candied fruit in there if you want. You could do candied pears. That's super good. Like I said, you could take the raisins and candy those. Those would be super good as well. So just whatever you like. If you don't like a variety, you could just put one kind of fruit in there. Just make sure your proportions are the same as all of the candied fruit added together. So I'm just going to take the candied fruit and cut it up here. And like I said, if you put a little bit of oil on your scissors, then it's going to make it super easy. If you take a knife, and you don't put, you could do it with a knife, but if you don't put a little bit of oil on it, it's going to take you a while. They're going to gum up, and it is much easier with the coconut oil. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to cut those proportions up. Like I said, 1/4 cup candied pineapple, 1/4 cup candied apple, and then 1/4 cup candied cherries, and then you're going to use 1/4 cup of raisins. Now I want to say one more time again that this is candied fruit that I made. So when I started, it was a piece of fruit. It was a piece of fresh fruit, and so it did go through a process, but there's no preservatives or anything like that in it, no added colors, and so it was preserved in a way that keeps it a whole food. So I just want to reiterate that because I feel like that is what people hate about fruitcake is they hate the artificial flavors, and it's got a nasty aftertaste if you've ever tasted it. So if you've never tasted it, don't do it. Just stick with the whole food and you'll be fine. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to put all of those all of the fruit in a bowl, and then you're going to take some bourbon. You're going to take 1/2 cup of bourbon, and you're going to put it, you could put it on the stove, or you could even put it in the Instant Pot and warm it up. Do not put it on saute. You don't need it that hot. You just need it a little bit warm. And then you're going to put it over your fruit. And then I have some here that I've already put in some bourbon, and so it's been soaking for a little bit. Then you're going to put that to the side. And then you're going to take your nuts and get those ready. Now, I went ahead and soaked these nuts. If you don't know about soaking nuts, what happens when you soak nuts is it makes it more digestible. So if you have a problem maybe with digestion in general, or if eating a lot of nuts just doesn't work well for you with digestion, you can go ahead and soak them, and it brings out even more of the nutritional value. So even if you don't have a digestion problem, it's more nutritious and you can get more of the nutrition out of there if you soak them. And so what you'll do is you'll soak them and then you'll dehydrate them. And so if you are a member, you can find out how to do that. That is lesson 18 in the dehydrating course in terms of figuring out how to go ahead and soak your nuts, and then dehydrate them. And so what I've done is I have soaked and then dehydrated. I've got 1/4 cup of pistachios, 1/4 cup of hazelnuts, 1/4 cup of pecans, 1/4 cup of almonds, and 1/4 cup of walnuts. I've got all those in there. Now, if there's a nut that you just don't like, you can't stand, then you can leave that out and substitute one that you do like. So don't worry about that. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is I went ahead and chopped these up already. But the thing is that I prefer not to use a food processor because not because I enjoy doing the chopping, but the thing is that when you chop them by hand, it gives the nuts an ununiform chopped look. So in other words, that when you put them in your cake, they're going to turn out to be different sizes, and it just adds to the character of your fruitcake. So I would recommend doing that if you've never done that before, because it's just going to give it a whole new texture. And so that's what I've done. I've already chopped them up, and I've mixed them all together. So basically, that's what you're going to do to prepare your candied fruit and your nuts. Okay, so now on to the batter. Now I would have done that here in front of you live, but I was using a mixer, and then it would take me a while because it's a thick batter. It takes me a while to do it by hand. So I went ahead and did it already, but I took pictures of the process, so Bill's going to show them to you right now. And if you're on Instagram, I will just I will go ahead and tell you about them. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to take butter, brown sugar, and you're going to cream those together. So you're going to mix those together. Then you're going to add 2 eggs. And so if you add 2 eggs, you're creaming the butter, and then you're going to add your eggs slowly. Then you're going to take a 1 teaspoon of vanilla and add that. And then you're going to add 1 tablespoon of orange zest, or I may have that backwards because I have the pictures backwards, sorry. So basically you're going to put both of those in there, so orange zest and vanilla. And remember, this recipe is for a 6-quart, not an 8-quart, but if you go to the show notes, I will have the recipe for the 8-quart as well. And then you're going to put, okay, so we're going to put the vanilla in there. That's the picture you're probably seeing right now. And then you're going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and you're going to mix that in there. And then you're going to add 1 cup of flour slowly to that mixture. So go slow there, so you are not stressing your mixture, and you can add it and have it well combined. And then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to add 1 teaspoon of baking powder. So you would put that in there, and then you will have a batter. Okay, so I have already done that, except I did not put the baking soda in there because baking soda is a leavening agent, and I did not want to put that in there too soon. So let me get my batter here. Now I have a lot of stuff because I have 2 recipes to show you today, so I'm going to be moving everything around here. So please bear with me for that. Okay, so here is my batter. Okay, and I'm going to add the baking soda here in just a second. And I'm going to take my candied fruits and put them away down here so I can have some room and you guys can see. Okay, so the other thing you want to do is to take your pan, and you're going to want to grease it and flour it really well. Now I do want to mention that I am using soft white wheat, so it is a whole wheat. It's not white flour. You can use white flour if that's what you have, but I grind my own, so I'm using soft white wheat instead of like a harder wheat, because this is a baking recipe and not a bread recipe. Okay, so here's my batter, and I'm going to add here, I'm going to add the baking powder really fast here. Okay, so, and if you grind your own wheat, you'll find, especially the soft white wheat, you'll find that it is wonderful to bake with. You can hardly, or not at all, I think, tell the difference between the fresh ground. Well, you can tell the difference. It's much better. What I'm trying to say is that it doesn't make it any worse for baking, even though it's a whole wheat. Because I know that when you use a harder wheat, then it makes your baked goods a little bit dense. So if you use the soft white wheat, then it's much, much better. Okay, but keep in mind, fruitcake is a little dense anyway, so if that's all you have, then you know, I'd probably use it over white flour anyway. Okay, so I am mixing this really, really, really good here, because I want to make sure that I've got it all well combined. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a spoon, and we're going to add our fruit. And I want to keep the bourbon. I don't want to put the bourbon in here because I want to reserve that for when the cake is finished, and then I can pour that over the top when it's still warm. So let me get a spoon here, and I'm going to put that in there. And I meant to bring a serrated spoon, but I don't have one. So I'm just going to kind of squeeze here, and so that I can keep some of that bourbon in the bowl. So this has been soaking for, about 30 minutes. It doesn't have to soak a long time. You can have it soak. You can have it soak actually for a couple days if you wanted to. It just depends on how much of that flavor you want in there. Okay, so, and this is going to add some moisture, a little bit of moisture to the batter. Okay, so make sure I can get all this in here. I want to get every drop because the fruit is just that good. That's another thing. If you have kids and you make the candied fruit, your kids are going to want to eat it just like that. They're not even going to want to wait for you to put it in a recipe. They're just going to want to eat it right there and then. I made this last year and I didn't get to bake with it at all. My kids just devoured it. Okay, so you're going to mix your fruit in. You could also, if you wanted to, you could soak your nuts as well. I'm not going to, but you certainly could if you wanted to. Okay, so now I'm just going to dump my nuts in here. And like I said, I really prefer them to be chopped by hand because that just makes it, gives it a kind of an artisan feel. And if you are making this for a gift, that's just wonderful. It would just be great. Okay, so I'm gonna look at some of the comments here. Hi, Darby. How are you? And then I see lots of people on Instagram. That is great. Hello to you if you were just joining. Okay, and there's a question, where do I get my wheat berries? I get them at different places. I usually try and take advantage of sales at Honeyville. And then I also have a LDS cannery that is pretty close, and I can get hard white wheat at a pretty reasonable price there. So, but if you do not grind your own wheat, I highly recommend that you try doing that because the taste, like I said, is so much better, and you are going to, especially if you get the soft white wheat, you're going to not have any performance issues with your baked goods. Okay, so this is pretty much combined. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in my baking pan here. Okay, now this is a pretty dense cake, so this is the baking pan that I chose. You can, it doesn't have to be in one like this. It can be in just a regular flat one. And then I also, while I have this here, I want to show you the difference between, if you're deciding whether to get, if you're deciding whether to get a 6-quart or an 8-quart Instant Pot, I want to show you the difference in the things that you can fit in them. So this is for a 6-quart and this is for an 8-quart. And you can see there is quite a difference. This one is quite a bit bigger and deeper. So that's just, you know, one of those things that you have to weigh, and depending on how many people you have in your family, this might be important to you. So I wanted to show you that, and I'll show you another one in just a minute. You can gauge even more, but let me get this into here. So you're just going to, once you've got everything combined, you're just going to go ahead and put it in your baking pan. I'm going to try not to hit my microphone too much because I know that's an annoying sound. Okay, so like I said, this pan has been greased and floured, and I just use coconut oil. I love coconut oil It is my favorite thing in all the world. And so I use it whenever I can. But you could use butter. You could use lard if you wanted to, if you had it. Okay, so I'm just going to get this in here. Now, don't worry too much about it coming to the top because, like I said, this is a pretty thick cake. So it's going to rise, but it's not going to rise really, really a lot like a normal cake would because it's got so much weight in it. It's got all of that fruit and all of the nuts. So there we go. Try and get all that in there. Okay. And let me move this. Like I said, and I'm not in my kitchen, so yeah, I'm gonna move it in just a second. Bill's pointing, get the bowl out of the way. I'm gonna. Okay, so here we go, so you guys can see. All right, so you're going to get this in here and then just kind of go around and, you know, flatten it out a little bit, even it out. Really what you want to do is you want to take it and you want to drop it. But I'm not going to do that because that sound would probably be really, really bad on the microphone. But if you're in your kitchen, you can definitely go ahead and pound it for a little bit and then that will even it out. So go ahead and do that and make sure that it's down there and in your pan, and you can clean off the edges and all of that too to make it nice and pretty. Okay, so now we're going to put it in the Instant Pot. So I'm just going to wipe it off just a little bit because I want it pretty when it comes out. Okay, so what we're going to do is I am going to maneuver the Instant Pot so I can put them in. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and make sure our rack is in there like this. And then I am going to put this up here for just a second and hope nothing falls. Okay, so whenever you're cooking in your Instant Pot, you always want to have water in the bottom. And so I have some water here. And I'm going to put a cup and a half in the bottom. I will put an exact measurement in the recipe, but I just make sure that the bottom rack, I want to show you. You see this rack here, I'm going to put the baking pan right on top of that. And so I want to make sure that there's water in the bottom because that's how we're going to get up to pressure there. I'm going to get all my messy stuff out of the way here and hope that that doesn't fall. Okay, so I'm going to put, like I said, a cup and a half, maybe up to 2 cups. And then I am going to put that on. And I'm just going to put this right on top of that. Okay, and so basically when it cooks, it's going to be down there like that. And you can get some, you know, a hot pad, or you can get something that when you take it out, you're going to take it out and hold this tightly, and then you're going to put it on the counter to cool because you don't want to take it out of the pan until it is completely cool. So I'm going to put this in here like that, and then I'm going to put this on in the Instant Pot. Okay, and I have a lid here that doesn't have a ring. I have forgotten to bring the ring up here. So I'm going to take this other pot and I'm going to put this on. This does have the ring. Make sure your sealing ring is in there and it's all tucked in. It's all in there the way it's supposed to be. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on. Now, I'm doing this backwards. So if you, and I'm reaching too. So if you have one, it's not that difficult to put the lid on. I'm making it difficult because I'm doing it at awkward sort of angle. Okay, so you want to go ahead and make sure that it is in the sealing position. And then what you're going to want to do is go ahead and push manual. And let's see if I can reach. Okay, so because I've got my computer, I've got all the stuff. Okay, so you're going to push manual And then you are going to navigate to 90 minutes. We're going to put this on for an hour and a half. And it's not going to dry out one bit. It's going to be so good. So you could do this in your oven. And I'm just doing one at a time so I don't miss it. You can hold it down and it'll go faster. But I'm just beeping. Okay, so here's 90 minutes and that's all I have to do. It will start automatically just like that after I've programmed that in. And so there it goes. It's going to start and it's going to start coming up to pressure. Like I said, you can do this in your oven if you don't have a pressure cooker, or you could do it on stovetop as well. So the thing is though, in a pressure cooker, if you do it on in your oven, it's not going to be as moist as it is in a pressure cooker because all of that moisture is trapped in there because the steam, that's how it cooks. It brings everything up to pressure with water or steam. That's why we put the water in there. And so it's going to retain its moisture, and in the oven it could dry out quite a bit because that's a long time to cook, right? So alrighty, so that is how you make the fruitcake, and of course that's 90 minutes away. So let me show you one that is already finished, but let me clean up just a little bit here because I want to show you the fruitcake, and then also I want to show you how to make vanilla extract. So that is coming in just a minute. Let me put this down here and find some room for it. Okay. So now this one that I'm going to show you, I actually made in the 8-quart. So I wanted to show you the bigger one. So this is the fruitcake. This is what it looks like when it's going to come out. And like I said, this is a bigger one because this was made in the 8-quart. But when this one comes out, it will look similar. It'll just be a little bit shorter. So I just want to show you that. And it is a beautiful, beautiful fruitcake. You can go ahead and put some frosting on it if you prefer. My family likes to eat it just like this. We're trying to cut back on sugar anyway, and it already has sugar in the cake itself. So it's delicious just like this. But if it's something special, maybe it's Christmas dinner or something like that, you could definitely put some frosting on it if you prefer. Okay, so this is the fruitcake that will come out of the Instant Pot when it's done. Like I said, one more time, this is an 8-quart. And if you do have an 8-quart, don't worry, I am going to put the 8-quart recipe in the show notes, so you will be able to get that when the show notes come out shortly after this show. Okay, so now I want to move on to making vanilla extract in the Instant Pot. Okay, so normally when you make vanilla extract, what you're going to do is you want to infuse, usually vodka, but it can be bourbon as well. We might do that in just a second. Anyway, the thing is that you want to infuse the alcohol with vanilla. And the old-fashioned way to do it, so to speak, is to just go ahead and take vanilla beans and then put them in some alcohol and then let them sit for several months, 6 months, before it's really ready to use. Now, there is a thing called hot processed vanilla extract, and that's what we're going to make today. So let me get my vanilla beans here. Okay, I'm going to bring this up here. Before I get started on the vanilla, I just want to show you one more pan comparison. I brought these all up here. I wanted to show you. Okay, so this is the 6-quart and this is the 8-quart. So you can see the difference. You can see that it is bigger. And this fits inside the 8-quart. So I wanted to show you that before we started on the vanilla. But now let's get to the vanilla extract. Okay, so in terms of your vanilla beans, okay, so there are different grades of vanilla beans. Let me try and move this so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, there are different grades of vanilla beans, and you do not need the highest grade to make extract. You can go with a lower grade, so don't worry about that. And then also, that's going to save money as well, because that's one of the reasons you're doing it, right, is because you want it to be less expensive. But there's also different flavors of vanilla beans depending on where they're grown. So there's Madagascar, there's Mexican vanilla beans. So it just depends on where they're from, and that would give you a different flavor. So if that's something you care about, you're going to want to study up on that and research that in terms of when you buy them, you know where they come from, and so you know what flavor that you're getting. Okay, so like I said, this is called hot processed vanilla extract. So what you're going to do is you're going to take some vanilla beans, and I've already put some in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the vanilla beans in these mason jars. Now, you can go ahead and just take your Instant Pot, inner pot, and then you can just dump your alcohol, vodka, bourbon, whatever, into the inner pot, and then just throw the vanilla beans in there and put the lid on and let it go. You could certainly do that. The problem with that, though, is that you may lose some of the alcohol content, because this vodka is what? Whoops, sorry, I kicked it again. Sorry about that, it's making noise. Anyway, the vodka is 40% alcohol, or 80 proof, right? So the thing is that even though most of the moisture stays in the Instant Pot, there is some that evaporates. You see some of the steam that comes out, and then that's when it's going up to pressure. And then also, even if you do a natural release, you're still going to have some of that steam come out, and that's going to be the alcohol, because it's lighter and it evaporates off, it cooks off. So the thing is that if you do it that way, you can get vanilla extract that way, and it's perfectly fine. But the thing is that your vanilla may not be pure vanilla. And what I mean by that is it could go below 35% alcohol, and that's what is considered pure vanilla, is 35 and higher. So the thing is that if you do it that way and you just go ahead and put it in the inner pot and not put it in the mason jars, then you'll still have this wonderful vanilla liquid. You know, it's like a natural vanilla flavoring or something like that. And you can notice that this is making steam, exactly what it's supposed to do. But the thing is that it may not store for as long. So if you do that, it's definitely, I think, maybe a little bit easier, depending on how you're used to doing things. I like throwing all kinds of things in the pot and just putting it on, but it may not store for as long, and then it may not have that higher alcohol content. So you just need to be aware of that. So in order to retain as much of the alcohol as possible, I'm going to put my vanilla in these mason jars. So what I've done is these are 1/2 pint or 1 cup mason jars, and I'm going to put 4 vanilla beans in each one. And I've already done these 2. So I want to show you how I'm going to cut up the vanilla bean. So I have 2 here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them in half, and then I'm going to run a sharp knife down the middle. But I'm not going to do the entire bean. I'm just going to hold on to the end here, and I'm not going to cut this part. I'm just going to go down, and then so there'll still be a tail on it that will be connected. So I'm just going to split these in half. And then you don't have to do this, but I'm going to, because I want all the vanilla goodness in my extract, and I want it as soon as possible. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a dollar knife, and I'm going to scrape out some of the beans that are in there. And how you do that is, once I've got this cut, almost, you just take your dollar knife, and there we go. You're going to take your dollar knife, and you're going to open the pot up, and you're just going to scrape. And I'm getting some, can you see it might be hard to see, but can you see? All right, so I'm going to do that with all of these here. and I'm just going to scrape. Okay, so then I'm going to add it to the jar, and then I'm going to put scrape those in there. Okay, so you're helping it along. You're taking these beans out and, or the little seeds out, and you're just helping it along so that it's going to make the vanilla extract faster. Okay, so once I get this done, then we're going to add the alcohol. But I want to talk just a minute about canning, because I got this question last time, and people were asking me, well, can you can in the Instant Pot? And the answer is no, you cannot can in the Instant Pot. And you cannot, especially you cannot pressure can. Even though the Instant Pot is a pressure cooker, you cannot pressure can in the Instant Pot. And the reason is, well, it's awful small for one thing. If you're going to go through all the canning procedures and everything, you're going to want to make a decent batch of whatever it is you're making. So you want to have a bigger vessel to do that. The other thing is that it's an electric pressure cooker, and it does not get up to the temperature that you need to kill the spore or the bacteria that causes botulism. So that's not something that you want to do, is can water bath or pressure can in your pressure cooker. And that goes for stovetop too. They're just not designed to do that, and they're not designed to get up to the temperature that is needed to do safe canning. Okay, so having said that, I want to talk a little bit more about canning in just a second when we go ahead and put them in there, but let's get them prepped first. So now that I've got the beans in here, and like I said one more time, if you're just joining us, I have 4 beans per 1/2 pint or 1 cup. And so I've got my beans in there, and I've got my seeds in there, and I've helped it along there. Now I'm going to add bourbon to 1. And so all I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill this up. Hopefully I have enough. I've been making lots of fruitcake. Okay. Then I'm going to take vodka, and I'm going to fill up the other 2. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to pour it in there. A word about the vodka or the alcohol in general. You can get the cheap stuff. It's really not a big deal. You could get a mid-tier as well. I would not use your expensive stuff for this. So it's up to you. Okay, so now I have these full, and I'm going to take my lids and I'm going to put them on. Again, the reason for this, the reason I am doing them in a mason jar is not for canning, but is to retain as much of the alcohol as possible, because I want it to be as pure as possible. Okay, so and putting the lid on will keep the alcohol in here. So I'm going to do that with all of my jars. Okay. Now I'm going to take the inner pot of my Instant Pot, and I want again to have the rack in there. See if that will fit. Okay. I want to have the rack in there again, just like we did with the fruitcake. And I want to put water in the bottom. So I'm going to spread this out, and I'm going to put water in the bottom. Again, you always want to use your Instant Pot with some sort of liquid. It doesn't always have to be water. If you have a soup or whatever, that's going to be enough liquid in there. When you make like a chicken or a roast or whatever, if you have stock in there, that will suffice. So it doesn't always have to be water, but it has to be some sort of liquid. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my jars in here, and they are ready to be put into the Instant Pot. And put it here. Okay, and you could put more in. I just have 3 here that I'm doing, but you could definitely put more if you wanted to. Just make sure that they're going to stay there and make sure they're not touching. So then you would make sure that you have your sealing ring on, which I do not. So, but you would make sure that you do and make sure that is in there good. And then you would go ahead and put your lid on, and then you would put this on manual for 60 minutes. And then when they come out, you're gonna want to let them sit for a couple of weeks, but it's not gonna be months like you would if you were just infusing the alcohol. And so when they come out of the Instant Pot, they're going to look like this, just like this. Okay, so here's the thing that I wanted to talk about, again, about the canning. We put the Instant Pot on, we put the lids in there, so the lids are sealed. They're sealed, okay. And it was just a consequence of the method that we used. It is not a safe canning method. So I can't say that enough times or stress that enough, because it could be dangerous if you use this method on any other thing. So this is not a safe canning method. It was just a consequence of the way that we made the extract. So what you could do is you could keep them in this mason jar, or you could transfer them to another bottle. I have a couple of examples here that I could show you. You want to make sure that when you transfer the vanilla, that you have like a dark colored glass bottle, because that's going to keep the light away, and the vanilla will deteriorate after a time if it's in a clear jar like this. Now you could keep it in here if you kept your jars in a dark place, but usually in our kitchens the vanilla is in and out of the pantry, so you're going to want to use a dark bottle for that. So basically what you could do is, if you made more than one, like, you know, I've made a couple here, I'm going to make those, right? So you could keep them, you could keep your extract in here, you could store it for a couple weeks in a dark place. Then once you're ready to use it, you could go ahead and transfer it to this jar. And it's not going to really make a difference one way or the other, as long as you have an airtight jar, because the alcohol, it's still going to be in there. It's going to do its thing either inside of the canning jar or inside of a storage bottle like this, because it's alcohol and we don't have to worry about bacteria and things like that like we would if we were canning. So again, it's just a consequence of how we did this vanilla. It is not a canning method. Can't stress that enough. Okay, so I have been talking and talking and talking. Let me see about people who are commenting. Hello, Kim. Don't be freaked out about using the Instapot. It is a wonderful, wonderful appliance, and once you get started, you will absolutely love it. And so I'm getting a lot of hearts on Instagram. Thank you so much, guys. How long would you set a slow cooker to cook this? A slow cooker to cook the fruitcake or the vanilla? If you were gonna infuse the vanilla, I don't know. You could do it just for a couple of hours and do it that way. But if you do it in a slow cooker, you're gonna lose a lot of alcohol. And so the product that you have in the end is not really going to be vanilla extract. It's not going to be pure vanilla extract. If you're going to use it fairly quickly, you know, within a couple of weeks, then it would be fine to do it that way. But if you're not, most of us don't use that much vanilla, you're going to want to do it in a way that you don't evaporate that alcohol. So either in a pressure cooker or in a, just infuse it. And one note about making vanilla extract in the pressure cooker: do not do that on the stove. It is just far too dangerous to cook the alcohol like that in a pressure cooker on the stove. So it is not for stovetops, but the Instant Pot, it's fine. So definitely that. Okay, let's see what else I have to tell you guys. Okay, so if you need more information about why this is not a safe canning method, then you can go to selfreliantlife.tv/002, and we talk all about canning and canning safety in that episode. Then also, if you are a member of Self-Reliant School, you can go to the home brewing course. Lesson 15 talks more about infusions, so you can go there and learn more about that. And then, of course, the entire canning e-course, you will learn about safe canning. So you can definitely go there and watch those lessons, especially the beginning lessons, and we'll learn a lot about safety in those. Okay, so one more thing that I have done is I have made some labels. I love labels. I love making labels. So I made you guys some labels, and I made them in 2 sizes. I made a large and a small. So let me see if I can show you guys here. Okay, so here, I don't know if you can see that, probably not really well, but if you go to the show notes, they'll be for you to download. But what this says is homemade vanilla extract, and it's got little vanilla beans up here. So what you can do, I'm gonna make sure my hands are clean here because I've got batter all over them. What you can do is on a smaller bottle, and these are just address labels. I don't make labels on weird sizes because they're so hard to find. So I don't do that. These are just address labels that you could find anywhere, and then you can print them out. Okay, so, and I probably made this crooked, but it says homemade vanilla extract, and then there's another one here, and it goes on the back, and it's another size address label. Like I said, don't want to do that because if you buy the specialty ones, you don't get as many, and they're expensive. So homemade vanilla extract on this side, and then on this side I've got date and made by. So this would make a really nice gift. And this is just an old kombucha bottle that I had bought some kombucha, and then I took the label off, and so I'm recycling this bottle. And then if you have a bigger bottle that you'd like to gift, I have a bigger label, and it's got everything on the front. It's got homemade vanilla extract, it's got the date and made by. And you could just stick it, I'm gonna stick it probably really crooked, but that's okay. You can take more time with yours and make it pretty and straight. But you can just put it on there like that, and then people will know who it's from when they enjoy it, and it would be just that, and make that gift just that much better when you have labels on your homemade gifts. Okay, so I am looking to see, okay, Danielle says, missed the beginning, so why are you cooking vanilla extract? The reason we cook it is so that we can enjoy it faster. It doesn't have to sit for 6 months or so. You can put this, like I said, away for about 2 weeks, and it'll be ready to go in about 2 weeks. Of course, the longer the better, but 2 weeks is all you really need to get going on that. Okay, let's see. All right, so, and I've got lots of people talking on Instagram. Thank you guys for all your kind words. Okay, so somebody is comparing this on the laptop and comparing it to Facebook. And Facebook is showing more. Yeah, Facebook is showing more because of the way that the camera angle is. Instagram just came out with their live feature, and so it's going to take them maybe a little longer to get up to speed. But if you're mobile somewhere and you would like to view live, and you can definitely join in, and I would love for you to do that, and that way that you can comment and share what you know and ask questions. I love that. And then if you wanted to rewatch it and see the full version, you do that later at the show notes, and you could go again for this particular show to selfreliantlifetv/026. Okay, so I have kept you guys a really long time. I have, like I said, I had 2 recipes I really wanted to share with you. Before I let you go, I want to give you a reminder. We rolled this out last week about our Getting Started Guide for Pressure Cooking. So if you go to selfreliantschool.com/PC, you can get the Getting Started Guide, and that has all of the information like what high pressure, low pressure means, what quick release, natural release, all of the jargon that you hear associated with pressure cooking. It goes through all of those things. It goes through safety. It goes through the different sorts of, or the different kinds of Instant Pots. If you're still thinking about which one you want, you can go to that guide and you can read about that and make an informed decision. Okay. And again, if you are joining us in the middle of this broadcast, my name is Jennifer Osage, and I am so happy that you joined us. And we have been talking about the Instant Pot and cooking fruitcake and making vanilla extract in the Instant Pot today. So if you missed any of that, be sure to check out the replay so that you can get all the information. Again, if you do have an 8-quart, I am going to put an 8-quart recipe in the show notes, so you will have that. You'll get vanilla extract labels, and you'll also get the recipe for the vanilla extract itself, or the method. So remember, being self-reliant is not about being selfish. It's not about, just taking care of yourself. It's about taking care of yourself so you can take care of the ones that you love. Take care until we talk again. I'm so glad you could join me today. Here's what to do next. Head over to selfreliantlife.tv to pick up the show notes for this episode and to watch replays of older episodes. To go directly to the show notes for this episode, go to selfreliantlife.tv and then, without a space, type a / and then the number of today's episode. You can watch this show live every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, live on Facebook or the Periscope app. Don't forget to stop by selfreliantschool.com/free to get your free Self-Reliant School videos that will help you get started living a self-reliant life. Also, if you're listening to this show as a podcast and you've liked what you've heard today, please subscribe through Stitcher, iTunes, or your favorite podcast app. If you're on a mobile device, just search for the Self-Reliant Living Show. If you're on a laptop or desktop, just go to selfreliantlife.tv/iTunes. And while you're there, please leave a review. I love to hear from you. You leaving feedback makes it easier for others that are interested in living a self-reliant life to find my podcast. Take care until we talk again.